Yeah, well, they missed all their threes. They only had one.
In the first half. They said, they play like they're on the excellence. They all felt that it was good, and the girls, you know, the girls, they play like. Well, he wears his lucky
If it's-
sport jacket and literally the lining is falling out of it. He said it's coming apart. After this season, he's gonna have to take it to a tailor to have it re-signed.
Now, wait a minute, 2 games ago, he was walking around the court and it was on one shoulder and it was kind of.
Well, that was when after they hit that long distance shot, somebody grabbed him.
Somebody grabbed him and pulled it down. I was like,
But he probably tore it. That shot, what is he, 36 feet?
That was out there.
That kid is up there. And he did it again in the game just recently. That may be the slim turnout time. People don't want to miss the game.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, but yeah.
Hello?
I mean, we better be.
Oh my God, we're still going at 8.
You're gonna just drop the mic?
I was like, all right. Game's
I
on,
saw
guys.
Mike earlier today and I suggested maybe whoever is responsible for these videos, these YouTube videos,
Yeah.
if IT could take all your videos
They're all there.
and outsort just the snippets of the important stuff. And
Gonna have an insert.
but like you texted today. I'm not so fearful that people aren't in favor of it. I'm fearful that they're gonna go, everybody's gonna vote for it, so I don't need to vote.
Well, that's it. Try to make that 20%.
I mean, I think it really comes down to. People gotta know, there's gonna be a vote. She's like, the girls working on this. I mean, I don't think it's, I mean, it wouldn't hurt them going out now, but certainly 2.5 weeks before
Right.
that vote, it's gonna be.
Hello?
Well, I mean, the vote today is fine, but vote because if we don't get 20%, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. I grabbed the charter and I highlighted the page, so if anybody needs to hear it tonight, I would read it.
Like this guy.
It's on section 412. Board of Selectmen, upon an affirmative vote of 4 members, may submit any matter for which it had sole authority to the voters of the town for approval at a referendum. The referendum may be held in a regular election or a special election called for the same. Such matter shall be approved if the majority of those voting thereon shall have voted in the affirmative, provided, however, that in the case of a special election, no such approval shall be effective unless 20% of the electors qualified to vote shall have voted on such matter.
But that's a special.
They're what they call a special election. It says that the referendum may be held at a regular election or a special election called for this. So what we're having is, so I look for definitions in here that is not, but I believe it's a special.
So, but is a budget referendum a special election?
See, I don't think it's a budget referendum. I think it's the question, the school question.
It's not a budget. No, a budget referendum, that goes, it goes up. If it fails, it goes up again. If it fails, it's up to us. We own it. Which I think is fair, because it's like, enough.
Well,
You got it at some point, you got.
And I've always been, I mean, I like to cut it.
Well, that's bad. Town is up at Principal College. And there, it just keeps going up until you get it passed. Right. Sometimes we can go home and go.
everyone. So I'm mostly playing for the camera, which is a little bit different. I have been looking at the views on the videos though and seeing that, so far each of them has about maybe 125, 150 people watching remotely. And I know we have 2 people online. So this is the 4th of our community forums. The first one was a tour at Valley View. Second was a tour at Gildersleeve. The third one was an overview of the move the 6th grade to the middle school, and then we went over the financial package, which is the 5th one. 4th one was an overview of the timeline. And I kind of set this one aside just for questions and answers, that kind of sum it all up. We have 2 people online, and then I have a microphone free. This would be a little bit more conversational rather than sitting in a giant auditorium, which have been a little bit more awkward. After we answer the Q&As, what's going to happen is there's a couple more meetings I have. I know I'm meeting with some folks at Bartlett Hill this week. I'm meeting with some folks at the Senior Center. If anybody else wants me to come to their place of business or work or home, I'm happy to do that as well. Come on in, guys. And then, of course, what I think is going to happen is on April 15th, the Board of Selectmen is meeting to move this to a referendum, which is going to happen May 11th. At that point, something called the silent period starts. Mike and I can still talk hello during the silent period. We just can't advocate. We can only provide very factual information and can't editorialize in any way. So in any event, tonight again was mostly set aside for questions and answers. So I know we have a couple people online. Does anyone, do we want to start with people online? See if there are any questions from folks who've joined us. We're all watching on YouTube. Can you send them a message? Or can they hear me? If they want to post questions.
Get that.
Done? All right, well, wait. Well, while we're waiting, I recognize everybody here. I'm sure that I've answered all of your questions because most of the people who are here have been going through all of these. Except, hello, sir, how are you?
I'm Elwin.
Nice to meet you. Does anybody here have any questions? Otherwise, this might be a quick meeting. All right, so, and here we go. I'll
Showed up.
Great, I just need you to.
And I don't think you'll need a microphone, but.
For the people at home.
For the people
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, you've been recording.
First, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I have watched you perform on and on and on, as well as my wonderful friends here on the Board of Selectmen. I'm the guy on the tube most of the time, right? You all know I'm watching.
Yes.
And so yesterday was what, Easter Sunday.
Yep.
And there were 15 people at the table, big long row of folks, all wonderful Portland citizens, like everyone in this room. And I made the pitch. If you've never responded to a referendum, now's the time to do it. And they all looked at me like I was stupid. They didn't know a thing about it. And finally, one of them at the end of the table said, if you can't see it, you can't sell it. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm a good salesman. I'm a damn good salesman. Yes, you do. And I'm really concerned. So I went to the town website. And so I'm speaking now, I'm speaking to the Board of Education, and I'm speaking to all the town fathers and anybody else who's got a stake in this game. If you go to the town's website, I would expect that it'd be fairly easy to obtain an update or some really clear, quick sense of where we are with this. And I say that because I've witnessed meeting after meeting after meeting of the selectmen where the concern has always been, we can't let this go the way it did before. And awareness is the key. We've got to get people to really pay attention and understand how significant this is. And so I go to the website and I can't find a damn thing. Nothing. It's not there.
I thought, well, I'll go to the little box on the front page. There's one box right there, right? That says news and announcements. Check it out. Front page, news and announcements. You click on it, it's paper shredding. It's the Own Press update from 2022, which doesn't even operate anymore. Huh? Worthless. So I do a little search, just let's search on budget referendum, and you'll get, it'll spit some stuff out for you, but it's not interactive. And it's kind of coded, so that's not helpful to someone of my age or intellect. If you take the time to go through the departments to find the Board of Education, finally, you'll get to something. You'll get to something. That's what I want to see right on the front page. It's that something. So I can go out and sell this stuff. You got to do it, guys. You got to do it. And the IT person in town, that's not his job or her job. It's your job. Get talking to them and make that thing work. It ought to work for all of us all the time. Here's my question to you now. I went to the town hall today and I said, I don't even understand. After watching all of this and all this wonderful engagement and information, I don't know what's next. We've got actually two referendums. So we have the town budget, and then we have the what I'm going to call the town rebuilding. I don't think anybody understands that. Is that going to take place in one day? Do I go to the polls once and we get two referendums on the same booth? Or are we going to go 2 different days and nobody's going to know what the hell is going on? I don't know. Somebody also says it's really important this year, which is what I stressed with the group of 15, that we have at least 20% turnout of registered voters or the deal goes down. But I don't know if that's true or not. Is it because we have a referendum for the bonding? Or is it because that's necessary no matter even for the town's budget? I don't know. And you know what? Nobody at the town hall could tell me. It's in the chart. Somewhere it's in the chart. Thank God there's a charter now. I couldn't find the charter years ago. It wasn't on there. It wasn't on the website. Anyway, I'm done, guys. I just want you to know that you're doing all you can do. We're trying to do what we can do. I've already written a piece for the River East, and I stopped last night because I didn't know I couldn't send it off, so I won't get early billing. You know what happens if you don't get it in early, because I couldn't answer the 20% question. And anyway.
So Mike, I'll take this, and otherwise the microphone's here, just grab it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So a couple of things. Thank you for the questions. This week, there's a mailer going out to everybody's mailbox. We had to order special paper because it had to be a certain weight. So before the end of this week, everybody's gonna get in their mail, like the April vacation, a flyer. Also, in this Friday's River East, we've got flyers going in.
It's an insert, right?
It's an insert, yeah, yep. It's the same one you've got that. Otherwise, all of the information in terms of the videos, reports, holy cow, is on the school's website. I definitely would love to see it on the town website.
Yes,
too.
It's being put on.
Package it all there. And then in terms of the question, there's 2 questions. Oops, excuse me. There's going to be one, the budget referendum on the same day, same location. So people will be asked to take a position on whether they will support the annual budget. And then there's going to be the question about the school bonding measure. So
Same day.
same ballot. Yeah, same ballot. The difference here is that we don't need 20% of people to show up to pass the referendum, but we do need 20% of people to show up to pass the bonding referendum. And that's in the charter. We did check that. So great question. Because even if 100% of the people show up and vote yes, but only 19% of the town shows up, then
But we don't have a day yet.
Tuesday, May 11th.
It is the 11th.
It's the same day as the vote. for the
Okay,
budget.
because I asked that question in the town hall, but I didn't get a story answer. So, okay.
Monday mail up.
And Ellen, that's my only copy of that. I will send it. I need that back.
Ah.
$10. You're hired.
What have you?
But Owen, thank you. We need all hands on deck getting this message out for sure.
And to Elwin's point, that was brought up earlier today, and we discussed that. So the Portland website will have that on the front. It will have a link not only to the budget information, because it's on there, but again, to his point, they want to go to the main page and see what's going on. And we'll also have it linked to the website that's out there as well. So that's a great point. I try sharing it on social media, but there are, I mean, half our population is over 60 in Portland, and they're probably not surfing social media. They're probably reading the River East and talking to their friends and the whole bit. So we need to get that, we need to get it out there. So.
Anybody online? No questions. Okay. All right. Well, look, does anybody here have questions? No.
So I do have a question, Charles.
Roger, grab the mic.
There you go.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of discussion about biz
Yeah.
and what's going to happen with it. I think it's worth answering that again, because that and also the cost are the two questions that I keep on getting. So if you can kind of walk through the differences between now and 2 years ago, when 2 years ago it was two schools that we had to talk about doing something with, versus this budget or this referendum, we have a 5-year period to come up with the best plan. But I think if you can expand on that, because I think there's still people out there that aren't getting this message.
Right.
Can I just interject before you answer the question, Charles? I think there are two pieces to this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, guys. This is a school building and it's part of this question, and it's the swing school for this project. But once the swing school need is done, this is returning to the town. And I think the questions that people are asking about what you're doing with this isn't necessarily a Board of Education question. It is a Board of Selectmen, first selectman question. So I think it has to be a two-phased answer. Charles can speak to it up to the point where the school is no longer needed as a swing school. And then I think Mike can speak to it as to what the possibilities are for how we go about from there. And Charles, I know in your presentation last week, you made the recommendation that maybe on year 4 or something like that, when we see what downtown looks like with the spa and the brownfield development and Brainerd Place development, that might be a good time. There was a gentleman, Mr. Gilbert, I think, Mitch Gilbert, at the meeting before that, who made a very good point, and he kind of questioned waiting that long, because maybe you want to have your ideas in place so you can be working on those in tandem with the last year or two of your use of this, so that when the children are rotated out, then that next phase can come right in. And I'd like to hear both of you speak to it, and then I can give you in a comment towards the end some of my feelings for it, because quite honestly, that's the part that makes me the most nervous. The two pieces are the 20% that we need, but also I want to make sure that everybody understands that the members of the committee that I was the Board of Selectmen's representative on, from day one, everybody understood the historical and architectural importance of that building. And from my perspective, I'm glad that we made the choices we did. We kind of stepped away, kind of put that historical issue on the side and just made the choice of what was best for the schools, for the kids. But that being said, I don't want anybody to think that, we're throwing that beautiful building aside. So I think that's the fear. We have to try to make people understand what the possibilities are for that. But I just want to jump in and make sure we looked at the two sides.
So let me even back up to talk about, we're forgetting about the work of one committee that's already put forward some ideas. So the last time when we tried to convince or move forward with the K-5 school, right? we knew then that if we didn't have a good answer for what was going to happen with Brownstone and Gildersleeve, that there were going to be questions. A committee called the Land Use Committee met, and it met for almost a year, Dave, right? Dave, remember you were on that committee. You guys met for almost a year, right? And you put together a long report. I mean, many pages. I remember reading it. It's somewhere. We should actually maybe put that up on the website. But a committee already met during the last go round and put together a whole bunch of ideas for what Brownstone could become. And that was before the Nordic Spa, right? Before the Nordic Spa was going, that committee had done that level of work. Now let me kind of jump to how long we're going to need Brownstone, which gives you a sense of how long we have to make this decision. And then, of course, recommendations that came out of the Strategic Planning Committee, which could give you even more time, right? So Brownstone is going to need to be used as a school for 5 years. Assuming things go well on May 11th, and we're in a good mood on May 12th and planning for some big changes, all next year it will be a grade 5-6 school. It's needed for that. The year after that, it would become a grade 3 through 5 school, and it would stay a grade 3 through 5 school for 4 years. 2 years to do the work at Valley View, and then 2 years to do the work at Gildersleeve. So that's 5 years of time to continue to figure out what the future of Brownstone would be. Even if you needed another year or two, the Strategic Planning Committee recommended, one, move Portland Youth Services in there, which would be fabulous because it has its own gym, has its own playground. It's right next to Agliata Park. You know, if youth services went there, Parks and Rec went there, you could make a community theater. You know, certainly youth services and Parks and Rec would be one good use for it. And the Portland Food Bank, I know, is looking for more space. That could be used for that. And currently at Brownstone, we rent 2 classrooms to Oak Hill, which is a special needs school. I've spoken with them. They would rent 5 classrooms if they could from us tomorrow. I mean, if we had 5 classrooms tomorrow, we would be able to expand that lease with them. So if 5 years wasn't enough and you needed another couple of years, you could use it, generating revenue from Oak Hill, like leasing 5 classrooms, and using it for Parks and Rec and youth services. So any fear that it would be boarded up and vacated, put that out of your mind. You could buy yourself up to 7-8 years to figure out what to do with it if you needed them. Now, of course, 5 classrooms rented to Oak Hill, food bank, youth services, Park and Rec. That's still not enough to fill that giant building. I mean, it is, and it's a 2-floor building and a huge I mean, it's an enormous space. You wouldn't be capitalizing on it if it was only used for 5 classrooms for Oak Hill, Parks and Rec, youth services, and the Portland food bank. But again, you have 5 to 7 years to put together a good group of people to figure out what to do with it. That timeline that I suggested, like don't form that committee up for another couple of years, is primarily because I think that so much has changed in the past 3 years with Brainerd Place and the Nordic Spa and what you're doing with the brownfields by the river and the plan of conservation and development and the grants you're getting to envision a new Main Street. You might want to wait. I wouldn't suggest you form the committee and decide what you're going to do with Brownstone now, because the complexion of the entire Main Street, the riverfront, the Nordic Spa, Brainerd Place, plan of conservation and development, and this grant that you have to re-envision Main Street, let that marinate for a couple of years. So as all of these things come together, I think some ideas that haven't even been thought of yet are going to start to bubble up. That's the long answer. The short answer is, and we don't want to wash our hands of it because we know it's an important asset for the town, and that people's willingness to vote to support the school consolidation is going to hinge on what happens to Brownstone. But the short answer is once it's not a Board of Ed building and the Board of Selectmen is largely going to have to lead the process of, envisioning how that facility is going to be.
Yeah, no, I think that hits it right on. The only thing else I'll add to that is, let's say comes to the Board of Selectmen in 5 years. The position that we were in 2 years ago were a lot of unknowns, and we had 2 schools. In this case, we're already almost at the solution. In fact, while you were talking, Bob Shea sent me a list. I asked him, what's the carrying cost for Brownstone? What's the carrying cost every year just to cover that cost? And it's about $100,000 to $120,000. And if we added a couple more classrooms from Oak Hill, that covers our costs. We have solar on that building. That covers some of our costs. I mean, right now, we could put a plan together and make that cost neutral. That's the big challenge. Like, the people don't want the town to absorb this incredibly expensive building for those that are just looking at numbers. But we can not only find something to do with that building, we can not only make sure we maintain the look of that building, but as developers that came in 2 years ago said, as the town grows, there are much more possibilities that you could do with that building. And 5 years from now, our Main Street's going to look completely different. So we already are at the point where we're way ahead of where we were 2 years ago. We all could easily envision multiple uses of that building. But 5 years from now, I could see that being a mixed use building where we have Oak Hill in there, maybe doing 5 or 6 classrooms. Maybe we have a special needs program that we also bring outsiders into, some mixed businesses in there. Community center. I mean, that is a big building, a lot of square footage, and there's a big footprint around it that we could do additional stuff with as well. So I think it bodes really well, and it really is different than it was 2 years ago. We have a lot of use, and I just happened to see Susan and Ben before I came here for another meeting as well, and they were two that were very much against what we did last time with the mega school. And they very much think this is a good project, and they would very much want to be involved in what we do with that. So the people that are out there that want to get involved now have an opportunity to kind of have their voice heard. So just all those things together with what you said, I think make it an issue that I think we can handle easily, but we have to get that message out to Elwin's point. We have to let people know that that building is taken care of. I'm not worried about that. And I think most people in this room and watching at home should not be worried about that, because we have a lot of smart people looking at it and figuring it out, and we can come to a solution very easily. That would work for everybody.
I could just give you the math on it. We rent 2 classrooms to Oak Hill at $40,000 a classroom a year. So that's $80,000 a year in revenue. If you rented 5 classroom, that would bring in 200,000. That would pay for the upkeep of the building. And again, that's not going to be the permanent forever solution, but that can be a bridge, so that at the end of 5 years, if the building's turned back over and there isn't a forever solution yet, expand the lease and it'll cover the cost for the upkeep of it for however long it takes you to come up with that plan. And again, by then, in 7 years from now, think how much has changed looking back 7 years. I mean, you're going to look ahead 7 years, and that Main Street, and depending on what happens with the brownfields, and things are going to look different. And things are going to come together. That's why you don't want to jump in with, and here's what we're going to do with it now. Projecting out what 2032 is going to, even 2035. Take your time. It's not a race. It's not a rush. We've got good short-term need for the building, good midterm options for the building that will buy you the bridge to what will happen long-term. So, good point, though. That I am 100% convinced that people love that building and want to see it, and I too. I think it's got great curb appeal. It definitely will need some work in it. We know what happened with the boilers, and there are going to be some capital investments that are needed in it, but there's opportunities for nice public or public-private or combination uses for the facility.
Thank you.
Did you have a question, or did you just pop in and say hello? All right, I'll just end with this just to clarify for everybody who's going to watch this, and I'll post this video up with the other 4 videos. 20%, that's how many people need to show up. And I think we heard that number is 1,400, right? We need 1,400 people to show up, and 701 of those, right, to vote in the affirmative on the measure. So spread the word.
And could you remind everyone what they're going to get in the mail also again?
Yes, so I think we've I'm a little surprised to hear that, people haven't heard about this yet. So far, we've done these, we've been on social media. It's been in the River East, had a nice feature this Sunday, right? Front page with the picture in the Middletown Press. This week, a trifold flyer is going out in the mail. So every property owner in town is going to get, pamphlet in the mail. And then in this Friday's River East, we're putting the flyer. I'm starting to see the vote reminders in front of town hall. And I know, Mike, you're having more of those printed up. And then if there are any other groups that are going to start putting up yard signs out, we may start to see those over the coming weeks too. So hopefully we can get the word out.
So we're putting out, just to add on to that, we're putting out, just please come out and vote signs. We have 50 signs. They'll be on town property, put out tomorrow by Mike Tierney and myself. So they'll be out there, and then whatever groups are in favor of it or those against, they can put whatever signs they want to on their private property, but we're encouraging everyone to come out to vote. If it's a no vote, I understand that, but we're hoping that the yes is that, especially if you have kids in the system, and what condition the schools are in, get your neighbors to come out as well. I think it is going to be very good for the town. We need this.
And then, Mike, I have a question.
Mhm.
What can we expect April 15th?
So April 15th, we will officially send this to referendum. And once we do that, a silent period starts. I can talk about this. I can individually, I can write whatever letters I want to and support it. But as I cannot spend any town money on advocating for yes, but I can't answer questions. So if someone came to me, if Dave had a question on the part, I can answer it and give accurate information. If they ask me, do I personally think it makes sense? I could absolutely answer in the affirmative. And I will continue advocating for what I think makes the best sense for the town. But for the rest of the Board of Selectmen members, Board of Education, yourself, you have to go into a silent period where it has to be neutral answers. So the website will stay up there. The printed material we have, we can reference that. But it doesn't stop advocate groups out there to get out there and either get the vote out for the yes or for the positive or the negative. But that's an important date. And I'm not sure how many days from now until May 11th. It's coming up quickly. But we also encourage people to come out and vote as well. It's the budget. So we'd like you to come out and vote for the budget. We've worked really hard as a Board of Selectmen, a team, and with the Board of Education as well to come up with the best number we can, despite some of the headwinds that we've had with insurance and other things as well. I'm looking at surrounding towns right now, and I'm not comparing ourselves to them, but every town is struggling in different ways with how they get the budget number down, and what's fixed, what can you change, what's flexible dollars that we can change around, what isn't, what's fixed. So I think we've come up with at the best budget we can. If you've watched the budget meetings, and we've looked for nickels and dimes everywhere, and I feel good about the budget. We will put that officially. We will pass that officially this coming Wednesday. We have our next Board of Selectmen meeting, but yeah, on the 15th, everyone else has to go silent on it.
Yeah, I must admit, on the 15th it's a Board of Selectmen meeting.
Yes.
And then you could, at that meeting, you adjourn to a town.
Yes, we
meeting.
return to a town meeting, which is the May 11th
Which is
referendum.
the-
Yes, which is that.
This isn't something the Board of Selectmen can approve.
No.
By adjourning to the town meeting,
Right.
or then sending it to the.
Yes, exactly. By charter, it goes to there. Yes, yes. I have to pull it up again. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that Monday night, right?
No, so we've got, we're gonna, this Wednesday, the eighth, is
Right.
gonna be our budget.
It's our budget, right?
Is our budget. Week from the eighth, which is gonna be the 15th.
Right.
Is the referendum on the schools, two separate.
There was a special one. Meeting, which happened the following week, I just want you adjourn to the 11th.
There are two steps to
Two
that.
steps to it,
Yes.
yeah. So I think that, yes. and
Oh, that's right.
the Town gets to
yes.
keep on it, and
Yes.
so, yeah. so my-
Look, let me say that again. So we're.
Two dates.
Yes.
Yeah, just so we're in the microphone. So I'm clarifying for anyone watching that April 15th, the Board of Selectmen will meet. Send the resolution to a town meeting, which will be on April. We don't know that date. And that town meeting, people can come out and speak about it. Public hearing.
Before a regular special board select.
Right.
So it's at the half hour of the.
Got it.
on the-
On the 15th. And then is there another meeting after that? Before May 11th?
No, I was like, I regularly,
Got it. Okay.
but I was no respect. The
Right.
public hearing, special meeting following up public hearing on the. Okay.
Yep.
And at that,
Like. And I was gonna say while you're on the microphone, this year we were talking about the voting, important to understand the family reason that they can't be present to vote, but they, I think the town working on the way. It's really responsible.
That's good.
Yeah, so for those that either aren't available that day, but want to vote in the affirmative, or if they want to vote against, they can get an absentee ballot. So all they need to do is go to go to a town clerk. Right. And that's pretty common. Some folks just can't be there that night. It's the same day as the budget, but there are always 50 to 100 people that have to vote that way that day. So we make accommodations for that, and we're happy to do. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so if you can't vote in person on
Yep.
May 11th, check with the town.
Check with the
clerk.
town, as soon as you can, and they'll get you an absentee ballot. Yes.
And then at any Board of Selectmen or Board of Education meeting, anybody wants to make comments, you can come out and make comments. There's public comments at every open meeting. And if anybody is watching this and has a question, email Mr. Pelton, email me, call me, stop in to see me, or invite me to your house for a cup of coffee. And after the 15th, I can talk factually. Up until then, I can ask you to please support this because our schools need it.
Charles, could you explain, I went in and looked it up today. Maybe everybody just needs to hear again. The school committee worked on coming up with what appeared to be, to all of us, to be a very strong, balanced solution that was good for our kids and good for the taxpayers as best as it could.
Yeah.
But after that committee kind of ceased its work last summer, the legislature put forward some other bills which really made this the reason it's important to vote, because it's probably a once in a lifetime opportunity for that amount of reimbursement. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so the game changer came when the state legislature passed an additional bonus for new construction for buildings that include pre-K, right? It used to be that if you had pre-K in an elementary school building, you were eligible for that additional 15% bonus on the square feet used for pre-K. So if you had 2 classrooms of pre-K, each of those classrooms was 800 square feet, that 1,600 square feet of space would get the 15% bonus, but that's it. They expanded it to be that 15% is now applied to the entire school, right? The first thing I thought when I heard that was, holy cow, that's going to get a lot of pre-K 6 schools built, right? Because you could just have 2 pre-K classrooms, but if they're in a pre-K 6 school, you get that additional 15% on the entire school. I mean, that is a significant amount of money. So if you add that 15% to the entire school on top of the 53% that is our general construction rate, you get into the mid 70% reimbursement, which was a game changer in terms of how affordable, particularly Valley View is. So that really made the decision about Valley View that much clearer. You pay $14 million, you're going to get a $44 million school. But that also changed the calculus in terms of Gildersleeve, because one other thing happened. Part of the reason why the committee decided not to do renovate to new, but only do capital investments at Gildersleeve was because we didn't want to have to tear anything off of Gildersleeve. Right? There was a lot of conversation that, nobody wants to give up square footage, right? And we knew that Gildersleeve was too big for 3 grade levels, and we would have to, rip off almost 20% of the building. We would have had to take down, and well, we didn't want to do that because we don't want to give up the square feet. I mean, what if population ever increases? But our architects are really good, and they did a little bit more digging into that, and they found out that now this is I think Bob Shea and I were in the room when Bryce pointed out that there's an awning outside of the building that the kids stand under when they wait for the buses outside to keep the rain off of them. But because the awning is attached to the building, it's considered part of the square footage. Well, rip that awning off, and we don't have to give up then as much square footage that's under the roof where the kids learn. And then we reached out to the State Department of Administrative Services and said, hey, we don't want to give up any square. Can we retain some of that existing square feet to create in-house special education program? And they said yes. So because we didn't have to give up any square footage, that changed the consideration about whether you pursue renovate to new or capital
And the
improvements.
special education in that
And-
same legislation is an additional 15%.
Yeah, and that additional 15% is something we didn't even incorporate into the numbers. That's gonna be, the cherry on top when we're filling out later down the road. But again, to be fair, the reason we didn't do it is that 15% is only for the square footage that will be used for special education space. And we're not entirely sure which part of the buildings we want to use for that. That's why we didn't incorporate. So I think the reimbursement rate's going to be even higher because that 15% for special education is going to come into play later down the line. But I think we keep that in our back pocket and wait to see what that looks like. But all things considered, between the pre-K and that we can save the square footage, that I believe was new learning after the strategic planning committee did their work and made their recommendations. I think if we had known that in the summer, we would have made the strategic planning committee would have made a very different decision. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. Right? And I've spoken with everybody on that committee since then. And they were like, yeah, no, I would have voted for renovate to new over capital improvements if I had known those things at that time.
It's less, what's the number?
It's $300,000.
$300,000 for a renovate to new versus the capital improvement that they were planning to do.
That was it. And it's $336,000 more, yeah, a $56 million building versus $26 million in capital improvements. I mean, you're doubling your money. It's an incredible bargain. And the last thing I would just say about that is that what the state uses to calculate the reimbursement rate for the general construction that you get is a function of town property wealth, right? That what's called the net grand list, the value of all the properties in town. Portland's at 53.93% now. I think you're at your peak now because your grand list is about to go over $1 billion soon because of all the growth in it. Right now, the Nordic Spa and big parts of the Brainerd Place, they don't have their certificates of occupancy yet. Once you get those COs and they come on your tax rolls, Portland's wealth is going to go up, which means your reimbursement rate for general construction is going to go down. So literally all the worlds have lined up on this between where you are now, the growth you're getting that isn't quite there yet because you don't have the COs on those buildings yet, the reimbursement rates, overhead savings, it's all lined up really nicely for the town right now. That's why it will be bad if we get a yes vote, but not the 20%. Because the iron is really hot right now. It just all come together.
No, then that which are reimbursed, that is not going to change.
That is my understanding. We are going to submit our grant before June 30th. And that is our reimbursement rate right now is 53.93%. Once we put in the grant, I don't think they're going to pull the rug out from under us. Now, I have to be completely honest. Could they change all the laws? Could legislators take action to do this to us? They could. I mean, laws can change all the time. I don't think they will. I think we would have a strong case to make. And also, we have been in very close touch and both Norm Needleman and Christy Carpino are well aware of this. And I don't think that the state has any incentive to not encourage schools to have good indoor air quality and school security and spaces for early childhood learning. The state wants us to do this, and the state, by consolidating schools, we're doing exactly what the state of Connecticut wants us to do in an era of declining enrollment, right? It benefits the state for us to decrease schools and reduce overhead because we're saving long-term the state liability in terms of what they have to pay for retirement for the people needed to run an additional school. So there's definitely awareness of the state and they would like to see us contract schools. You'll see that across the state with declining enrollment in students. Right sizing your schools is very difficult, as we know, but really important because running small schools with an excess of square footage is costly because you need the people and the utilities to run them. And the capital to keep them going. This is the right move for Portland, both in the short term, midterm, and long term.
So, I mean, from the initial draft to the final proposal, on the financials.
Yep.
I've followed it extremely close because I enjoyed the stuff.
Yeah.
But, to be completely honest, this is a slam dunk.
Yeah.
And it is basically, someone's giving you $67 million. And all you gotta do is get in your car, go to the poll and vote yes. The elephant in the room that, I mean, we're talking about, right, is not what we're gonna do with biz. It's not the little details that we're talking about. This is a slam dunk on the financials. The numbers are extremely safe. It's really, we have to just destroy political apathy, right? Folks are just, I actually, as well, about 3 weeks ago, sat with some friends and they asked me, hey, so what's going on in the town? And they did not know. And these are intelligent, educated people. They did not know. And they said, oh, seriously? That's coming up for vote again? Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, how do you not know? Well, of course, because this has been my world since November 8th, right? But they didn't know. So I think that's the one thing that we just gotta just get all over. It's anybody who votes no, in my opinion, doesn't understand the financials behind it. It is a slam dunk. Someone's giving you $67 million. You just gotta get in your car and go vote yes. The reason someone's not gonna show up is because, number one, they don't even know that there's a vote, or they don't understand the financials are a slam dunk, and they may actually show up and vote no.
Yeah.
But I think that's I think what we gotta really go after.
Yeah.
Hard, real hard.
I agree and I disagree. One thing, I agree that getting the word out to people that this is a good deal. It is an amazing deal. In terms of, here's what I would just say about the $67 million. It's your money. It is, all of this is tax money. It's coming out of this pocket. Right, well, that's it.
There you go.
You need to go get in your car to get your money back, right? Because if you don't get in your car, somebody else is getting your money, right? Every time you pay a sales tax or an income tax, it's going to Hartford. This is your chance to get that money for your town. If you don't get it for your town, it's going to Wethersfield or Cromwell or Middletown or any other town that people got in their car and went and voted yes to get it, right? It's not like, it's not free money. Nothing's free. You pay 6% income tax in this state. You pay 5% sales tax. It's going somewhere. And if you go vote no, those taxes aren't going down, right? The governor's not going to cut your income tax or your sales tax if you live in Portland and you vote no. Someone's getting go get your money. That's the message, right? Because it's still coming out of your pocket. You just want it to come out of your pocket and come back in your town. I mean, because other people are aware of this. People are building nice schools in their town. Look at Cromwell Middle School, right? Look at what Wethersfield just did. These are towns very similar to Portland, but they're the two largest revenue streams that towns get are through the ECS grants to fund local education and through school construction grants. That's it. Go get it. This is your opportunity to get people from other towns with their income tax and sales taxes to pay for nice things for your kids.
I would, well, another related but unrelated. Elwin spoke up early in this meeting, and as he was speaking, I looked at the town website on my phone. Portland's town website has absolutely nothing right now on the home screen about this. I understand that we were probably waiting to make sure that this document was all buttoned down, because that's what's gonna go there. But I would recommend when this goes out, which is Friday, right?
Friday.
That when that stuff hits the paper and hits the mail, that when somebody logs on to the town's website, that should hit them right in the face. And I also would suggest that be creative with the website. We have a rotating marquee that's on there, which has little links that rotate around. My fear is if you put it in that marquee and somebody opens it up and that doesn't happen to be the thing that's in that marquee at the time, you're gonna lose them. I would almost like to see this be what hits you in the face, almost a full screen with the band up the top, this is Town of Portland. When you give them an exit button on it, so they can exit and they can leave it and get to the main page. But I think that's what has to be done there. And quite honestly, I would say similar needs to be done with the Board of Education's sub-website of that town website.
Yeah. So that's actually happening right now. I spoke to our tech folks today and they're doing that. They're getting, so the landing page, when you come to the Portland page, will have that. They're also going to, in the rotating ones that you have, they're gonna, in addition to make every other one something about the school. So if they miss that, they will still see that once they go onto the site and stuff. So that's being done right now, 100%.
People get a mailer and they get it in the River East. They're gonna want to see more information. They're gonna go to that site. I want it to hit them.
Yep, absolutely.
And then the other piece to your point about apathy, it's a shame. I mean, you should vote. Whether you vote yes or no, you should vote. I mean, it's exercise the franchise, right? I mean, this is what keeps our democracy working. I mean, I hope you vote yes. It's a great deal. Our schools need it. If we don't do this, I'm really worried. I am really worried about what we're gonna do if this doesn't happen, because the schools are failing, right? They're reaching a point, right? But even if you go and vote no, because for whatever reason you have, that's your civic responsibility. Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely your civic responsibility. Because if you choose not to vote, somebody will take that, snatch that right away from you. It's my soapbox.
So Mike, what time is the public hearing on April 15th? That at 6:30?
I believe it's 6:30, yes.
And I did have a member of the public ask me, and so was asking you. This is being held at the public library in the very floodroom. Is there enough space there to accommodate a turnout if they want to come and be heard?
So there should be, I mean, you've never had a size bigger than that room,
Okay.
but this is also a real big project, so. But right now, yes, and the people will also be able to log on to.
Is anybody in this room, were they in any way involved with the Route 17 project? Because I could be wrong, but I thought that the similar meeting to the Route 17 project was in the auditorium. So I mean, if you're gonna get potentially that volume, or anybody over the number that fits in the Mary Flood room, if they feel like they've been disenfranchised, I think it's important that we potentially look into doing that.
I'm not sure well enough time to re-notice it.
So to Laurel's point, you guys, on the 15th at 6:30, and the board of selectmen special meeting. On the agenda, the 30th is a resolution to call a special town meeting on April 27th.
Yes.
All right.
And that's the one that we're saying.
So is that, do we have time to get that one at the auditorium?
I believe you can, I'll check on that for.
I think, yeah.
Yep, and I think that, yes.
And people would have the opportunity to be heard on the 27th of the month as well. I just want the public to be clear on what they can hear.
Give an opportunity for. Why would you like?
But people, I don't confirm yet. I want to confirm with town council. I want to make sure the information we get is accurate.
Yes.
Just make sure you have clear.
Well, for anybody listening, what we're trying to figure out is so the 15th, there is a measure at 6:30 in the Mary Flood Room. On April 15th is the Board of Selectmen will take the action they need to take to send it to a town meeting, which will happen on April 25th, 27th.
27.
At, we don't know the time, and it will likely be here in the high school. But what we'll do is we'll clean all this up and make sure that we put it out publicly for everybody to see. It'll be we'll put it on the website so that everybody knows when these things are happening, and if you have strong opinions one way or the other, come on out and be heard.
Maybe we should think of doing that. That's how that is there too. It's not. Yeah. So that's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Really important.
right. I mean that. Yeah, that's the fact. All $109 million is taxpayer money, right? What we want is 66 million of that to be shared by all taxpayers in the state of Connecticut, right? And then, the 44 on the people who own property in the town of Port. Right? You want, folks from the Gold Coast helping pay for your schools, which they can afford.
Here's a semi-legal question. I know that the Board of Education, and Board of Selectmen, we've spoken many times about that point in time where the door comes down and we can't speak opinions about the project any further. I'm thinking it's important that we continue to message this need for everybody to vote. And it seems to me that should not be impacted.
It is not.
Because that is just the process. So
We can, no, so,
right.
well, and as a board, we can message people to come out and vote because we're not saying vote yes or no. We are just telling them to come out to vote. So we can message that until, in fact, all that same day that the vote happens, we can message that to have people come out and vote, knock on doors if we want to. We just can't use town dollars as your position to say, vote yes on it. Right. But yeah, so we can advocate, all of us, everyone here, anyone at home that is favorable, we can advocate for coming out and voting.
I've been saying all along from the very beginning that I just wanted to ensure that everybody was properly educated. How they vote is not my concern. But I want to make sure that when they come to vote, they understand the issue. And now with this 20% rule, I just want to make sure that they come to vote. But I think we can continue to speak to that issue, whether we're after the 15th.
Yeah, and then just remind everybody that in a normal budget season, about 10% of folks come out to vote on the budget. The last presidential election, November, way more than 20%, probably like 40-50%. It's enormous numbers of people. Right. I mean, right. Everybody came out to vote in the presidential election, but the concern is that in a normal come out and vote on the budget referendum year, you don't get that 20%, you get about 10%. So we need to meet halfway between the enthusiasm for a presidential election and the less enthusiasm for a budget. But I will remind everybody, it was 3 years ago, right? We had a no vote on the budget referendum and it was about 10%. The next time we had an overwhelming yes vote and it was well over 20%. So is that right?
Still under.
It was under 20.
We doubled the number.
Double the number of people. That's right.
We can do that.
So we got some work to do. We got to do some.
Like, let's have 90%.
Yeah.
Like,
Come on, vote.
That's not even, okay, we need that, but for something like this, we should get very high numbers of Portland residents that are coming to polls to have their vote on one of the most important issues that they're gonna face.
If
the longest.
Agreed.
You don't vote, you'll get some project, you'll get complained about that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how it goes,
Say
right?
that, but,
Yeah.
No, 100%.
yeah,
well, and I heard somebody say door knocking and that, give that idea.
yeah. And
Well,
you know,
like,
Yeah.
I get it.
you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely, this is the largest investment Portland has ever made in itself. And I mean, I hate to be overly sap here, but for crying out loud, this is for your children. These are your babies. These are for your 3-year-olds. Like, I mean, if you can't take some time to come out and vote on the future of what's gonna happen to your 3 and 4-year-olds.
If you need a new,
That's
if you need a new car.
Yeah.
For the safety of your children,
right.
are you gonna buy an expensive car at 12% interest? Or are you gonna look for the deal where they're offering you 0% interest?
Yeah.
And this is a similar situation.
This is it.
It's 66%.
Right.
That's it, yeah. That's it.
We'll hammer that enough, I hope.
Yeah, it's.
Well, let me check one more time. Anybody online wanna chime in? No one? Okay. Yep, good.
Well, I don't know, if the plan is to keep it somewhere, I don't know, if they do it, but once the ballot is printed or ready. Can we show that on our website as well with the donation, because there are gonna be people that are gonna show up and say, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that's good, that's
This is
great.
what the numbers need too.
Wait, wait,
They're writing flyers now.
Right.
The PDF will,
Yeah, yes.
ballot.
Yeah, good idea.
We've done that. Yeah.
Are there any spreadsheets on the ballot? Oh, it's very strict. So having that explanation is very good.
Is that the final ballot?
Was that?
Is that the final?
This should be the final one, but
And
again,
I
after
would go
this
to the
conversation.
microphone.
So, right.
So this should be the final ballot question along with the explanation on what the numbers are. But because I want to make sure that everyone gets the accurate information, I'm going to double check and confirm. But yes, that's important. People need to understand what the numbers are. They see 109 million. They're not sure what that means. They see 66, they see 58, all these different numbers. They have to understand that the net amount is $42 million, $41.9 million is what the town of Portland is going to be financing. All those other numbers are line of credit that we need in order to kind of handle the last payment, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a $109 million project that the town is going to pay less than $42 million for. And it ends up being about 50 cents a day on average for the first 10 years of the bond payback. So it's affordable for a lot of reasons. And if someone's listening, if they just hear this part of it, the town needs it. We can afford it with all the growth in town. We have beat up every number on there as to what Vinny said, and every number we've put in there is conservative. We want to be pleasantly surprised. We are not stacking any decks here to get this passed. We're telling people we need it because we do. For those that went and inspected the schools, everyone here knows Board of Ed, parents with kids in the system. We know this, how the schools are. We know the condition of them. It's needed. We can afford it. This is the best price we're going to get from the state. $66 million is an amazing amount. We have not had this much of money from the state ever before. It's better than it was 2 years ago. And I'm going to give a shout out to the no's that were screaming and yelling about this 2 years ago, because had they not done that, and had we done the one big school, which again, that was something I thought was a great idea, but it got stopped. People voted on it. I understand that. But had we done that, we would not have had this extra 15%. This is getting us 2 schools done, the high school done, and we're getting a bunch of other things done for just a couple of $1 million more than it would have cost back then. So thank them for doing that. And here we are in a better position to get a better thing done for the school. So it's well done. But we'll double check all these information. It'll all be done.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Go UConn.
Oh, you
All
don't.
right, that's it. The Huskies on. We'll get home in time for it. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Charles.
Charles. Yeah, I can't step that.